Not a mess. Someday I'll get out there. I just put things out there, and then one of these days I'll go out and get that all. It's just my storeroom, really. It was such a pretty little office long ago.
Oh, that's what.
I had a old one when Harry was here. Fixed it like. I had a roll top desk out there and a swivel chair, and it was papered in. Didn't have dairy anymore. And the stick's gone, it's just dormant.
Yeah.
I've got to have something.
Comes in handy.
Because I can't run up and down the basement and out the garage, so I just think so much. Here, and everybody knows where it is. There's apples, and I'm thirsty as I can be. I believe I'm about to croak for something to drink. I don't like it.
I open it for you?
If you would, I'd like it. Thank you. Now you all just, it's there and you'll help yourselves, I'm
Right,
sure.
it's about time.
All of you, all four of you, huh? Whew. This is what family rooms are for.
What, families?
I should have a family and a family room.
Well, you've gone a bit beyond
Are you-
45.
Well, 7:30, we want to turn on. Where's the TV guy?
Right.
Unless are you watching a movie?
No, this is all Creatures Great. We're addicted to it. We've
Oh, is it good?
we've taped all of these.
What time's it on?
It comes on 7 on channel 11.
Instead of 7:30?
It says an hour in there.
Oh,
They're half-hour segments, but they may have the first two. They're starting them over, it looks like.
well, I haven't heard. Now, what do you say it is?
All Creatures Great and Small. It's an English veterinarian in the 1930s.
Oh, and you watch it every Saturday night? Well,
Yeah, they're just starting it around again. We watch it just about any time. We have it on
Oh.
tape.
Well, we'll watch whatever you're used to, because I don't really care.
Well, we just saw both of these this week, so we don't need to do it
Well,
again.
that's okay. This,
Parents who endured those times from the more stressful vantage of adulthood. But it's nonetheless true. That's so if only because growing up is great fun, or should be. The times matter only in that they provide the setting which shapes the growing experiences, which are necessarily highly personal and individual ones. Looking back on the events of which they are comprised can itself be exhilarating, furnishing a sense of accomplishment. I made it. I grew up okay. What really matters then is that closer environment, the cocoon of family, school, and friends in which the child makes his first contact with the world and where expectations are set. Such great expectations there were in those days.
yeah.
I do my hibernating in the summer. Some folks just can't take the heat, and I guess I'm one of them. Even here on my own Serenity Ridge, which was so appealing during that first summer with its steady breeze constantly stirring just a hint of freshness and promise, I sometimes feel defeated by the unremitting oppression of the damp musties which have settled in on us during the hot stretches of the past 2 years. It's especially unbearable now. The season started with very unseasonal rains and cool days and nights, continued from the wettest springtime I can recall. I knew all along it couldn't last, that there'd be hell to pay, and it's sure enough here with us now in late August, as it would normally be in Arkansas. I sit in my air-conditioned envelope, watching the weeds reach for the sky in my garden, while I wait for an evening cool enough for a battle with them. The grass in my hayfield is head high, but no matter, I'm too hot and sluggish to care about the looks, and we've already put plenty of hay in the barn loft. The haying had been fun at the time, and even teenage Missy had helped, getting the feel of hoisting the heavy bales out of the flatbed truck. The haze is dense enough to blur the view of my neighbor's pasture across the road as it stretches at the feet of the distant hills. Nothing seems as clear as it should. There's a dullness, a lack of color, and the sunlight is pale and thin in the cloudless sky. I don't know whether it's just age catching up with me, dimming my vision, and making it harder to do the things which transpired without thought or effort a few years ago, or the consciousness which has come with our increasingly sophisticated monitoring of our environment. We're bombarded with information about heat index, chill factor, pollution index, relative humidity, and warnings to avoid the carcinogenic midday sun. But I'm certain it's more than just impressions. The very air around us has undergone subtle and malignant alteration. There's an argument to be made that living is not conducive to health.
Clever.
Too much has already been done. There's no escape from what we're doing to ourselves and our children. I escape to the past at such times. My memories are sharp-edged and distinct, bright and clear through the filter of time, which gradually screens away the ugliness, doubt, and ambiguity. I can set that filter to emit distilled happiness. My 7th birthday brought for my delight, along with a Tom Mix cowboy outfit with an outrageous 10-gallon hat just like that of my hero, and a genuine leather fleece-lined replica of a World War II flight jacket, also complete with an aviator's cap which had pull-down ear flaps and goggles. A shiny little red wagon. You know what I mean, the one with a long-handled black tongue and the name American Flyer or some such, and raised white letters on each side. I bet you had one just like it. I know I saw to it at least one of my own kids did. It was perfect for hauling comic books, rock collections, little Eddie from down the street, and a frightened but ever-trusting black Cocker Spaniel. It also apparently set my dad to thinking. It was August, it was hot, because it must be in mid-August. The picnic planned for my birthday party had been spoiled by one of the showers I've since come to anticipate with pleasure. Sometime close to my birthday, the midsummer drought is almost invariably broken by a much appreciated spate of heat showers. I began to hear rumblings from him about the unreliability of his latest old Dodge and the great advances in automotive design that were beginning to appear now that the technology which had been developed for the war effort could be redirected. Dad had, anyway, a fascination with technology and inventiveness that brought to our home a never-ending stream of odd and sometimes outlandish gadgets, toys, and thingamajigs, which were to furnish him a never-quite-realized ground floor opportunity to make marketing history. Mom was introduced to the delights of the automatic turkey baster, an aluminum device with a long, curved, slender metal spout, which, from the temperature of the juices in the baking pan near the boiling point, aimed little spurts of liquid, percolator fashion, at the turkey breast. It worked, but Mom thought it was awfully slow and wasteful. But you don't have to keep going to the oven to do it, my salesman father cried, and it works just as well for roasts or hams or...
Yeah.
But I still have to go to the oven to check it, Fred. I won't trust my cooking to a little piece of metal. That was, in essence, the end of the wonderful automatic turkey baster. The nearest to success came a few years later. Yeah?
I remember when he tried to patent that, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. Right.
It was going to get rich on that.
Yeah, that was one of them.
That was one of them. He was
There was
always,
that, this little a kite.
and I don't know
and,
that one, but the turkey baster comes to mind.
And a little wooden playground kind of swing set with...
Never got
well,
it?
it was a prototype for the things, the little horse deals that
Did he get a
came in
patent
the
on
swings.
it?
Oh, no.
He
No,
always,
but we set one up in our yard.
he was
made
always
of
going to
wood.
do this. That's his heart.
He just had the right backing and
That's right.
marketing.
Well, he was always going to be the back end.
Yeah.
The nearest to success came a few years later from a strange collection of screened-in neon lights and little cakes on our front porch, which attracted a great many flying insects to a noisy electric death. To the amusement of myself and the neighborhood boys, who took great delight in looking looks of disgust on our sisters' faces. And the best thing about it, declared my father, is that it's safe for people. No DDT in the air, no poison on your hands. Only the bugs get zapped. The bugs in my nerves. Mom flinched again as another doomed night flyer took his last ride on the bug carousel. Dad held a healthy share of stock from the fellow who had patented the bug killer in return for access to a marketing network, but his plans fizzled faster than the insects' hives in the course of tangled litigation. And while the little lights are still around, we never saw any profit from them. A new family car in the fall of 1946 was cause for more than happiness in the heart of a 7-year-old. It was unfathomable ecstasy. It was time for new things. The throwaway economy was cranking up as a renewed urge toward self-indulgence pervaded our national mentality with the celebration of the end of the war. We deserved a reward, didn't we? In the U.S. for the second time in this century come to the rescue of civilization, and hadn't we all sacrificed and endured hardships and loss? It was true my own life hadn't gone untouched, even within the haven of that cocoon I've mentioned. I'd been uprooted by my father's departure for service in the Navy, and I had friends who'd lost brothers and fathers in distant battlefields. I felt the impact of more personal events, though. I seemed to have just survived battles of my own. My health had been ravaged by, in rapid succession, attacks of scarlet fever, complicated by administrations of a new cure-all wonder, the sulfa drugs. Later by pneumonia, and such seemingly uncalled-for assaults as a tonsillectomy and an ear lancing, which in a child's mind caused no less anguish than the painful infections which had precipitated it. But now my mood concurred with that of the nation. We were recovering handily and feeling good about it. A few weeks later, a new fall term was underway, and I was on my way to school, in my usual spot in the back seat behind Mom. We were scarcely a block from the house when steam roiled from under the hood of the gray Dodge and the engine sputtered and died. Dad jumped from the door almost before the car had rolled to a stop at the curb.
I
Damn,
can see him doing that.
I
heard him
can.
say that.
I heard, reverberating against the raised hood. Radiator hose is gone. Dan, get walking. You've got time to make it to school if you get going. I don't know how long this damn car will be here. Fred, watch your language.
I can hear it.
Can't you hear that?
Yes, I can.
My mother's automatic response was hurled out the window toward her. RJ, I'm fed up with this thing. What kind of traveling salesman can I be when I can't even get the kid to school in the mornings? We're not going to fight this anymore. I'm going to get a new car. A real new car, too. No more used up ones. It's time. We deserve it.
I can.
Well, don't tell me. I heard my mother's voice sounding a bit mollified, fading behind as I trudged off toward the 7th Street intersection. You're the economy freak, as though we're saying a car with less than 50,000 miles hasn't been broken in. Yes, indeed. This sounded like serious new car talk. I was so elated I could tolerate the embarrassment of walking to school in those woolen knickers, too hot for the early fall, and of an outdated style fit only for certain ridicule. Oh, I was a pretty picture, I was sure, and ready to fight anyone who might take issue with that. My thoughts rolled ahead on those yet unseen new wheels as I detoured at the corner 2 blocks from school to find out whether my best friend Bobby had left yet. I'd forgotten time, forgotten I was already late, losing more time as I waited at the front door to be told by his mother that Bobby had left for school 15 minutes before. I resumed my reverie as I turned again onto the sidewalk. I was late. I saw the first line marching from the little asphalt-tiled schoolyard as I started running the last block. I'd never make it, of course. It was futile. I hadn't been there to answer as first roll was called, with the entire student body standing in neat 2-by-2 rows, each class in alphabetical order. This meant extra penmanship lines to write, and probably detention through first recess. I squeezed into my customary place behind Gary Blount, who turned and snickered at my knickers. Trouble lay ahead. I knew this was not going to be an easy day. Writing lines during morning recess wasn't too bad. It was hot out anyhow, and I was wearing those darn short wool pants that kept stabbing me everywhere and itching. And getting sweaty and dusty would just make it worse. Besides, penmanship was repetitive nonsense that didn't take any thinking, so I could let my mind wander, as was its natural inclination. My daydreams were in color, or about color. A new car could be something besides black or gray this year. We were beginning to see brightly painted cars on the street, looking like mobile symbols of the end of the austerity of wartime. What color would I suggest if they asked me, or if they didn't? Fire engine red, of course, my favorite color for anything. I didn't think about the make of auto. It would probably be another dull old new Dodge. Dad had said driving a Chevy or Ford was just a mark of brainwashing, so I was sure these weren't eligible for consideration. What else? I realized I really didn't know that much about cars and resolved to fill in that gap in my education. Meanwhile, classes had resumed around me and we were well on our way to lunchtime. I was first out on the playground today. After having been deprived of my morning break, I was in no mood to dawdle over lunch, and I forgot about the potential discomfort of the knickers as I stepped up to the ladder of the big slide, wondering whether the cushioned ride currently advertised for the new models would feel anything like the thrill of flying through the air on that slide. Then I felt a pressure against my back, and I turned to see Tubby Keenan's broad smile. Suddenly I remembered things I'd been taught about manners and sharing, and I offered Tubby my first place in line. I didn't want that bucket of lard crashing down on top of me. Then I waited suspended at the top until he was halfway, maybe, to the bottom, not noticing a little knot of boys gathering at the foot of the slide. I slung myself into the air to gain speed. As I hit the slide, I hardly noticed the contact. Maybe wool pants are good for something after all. They're really slick. Too late, I saw Mike Johansson and Gary Blount join hands in a deathlock across the bottom lip of the slide, and I hit their arms doing about 90 behind the wheel of my red racer. So this is what a wreck would be like. I breathed my last. I knew it. My lungs were crushed. The last gasp of air had been squeezed out of them. I looked around as I haltingly rose through a red haze of pain and anger, determined that if these were to be my last moments on earth, I would take with me the perpetrators of my impending demise. Mike, seeing a look in my eye, bolted for the front door. I caught him in a flash. Still, I was sure, not breathing. Without a word, I pinned him against a brick wall with my left hand and brought my right up from the ground to meet his chin. He staggered, but came back with both fists flying, pounding my already numb chest and stomach. Fine, I didn't feel a thing. A well-placed or lucky jab opened a bloody geyser from poor Mike's nose, and I began to feel better. Mine wasn't going to be the only funeral after all. The iron grip of Sister Magdalene's heavy hand stopped my arm in mid-swing. Tired of recess, boys? She crooned sweetly as she steered us ahead of a disappointed crowd of children back into the building. Well, there'd be nothing but penmanship lines today. The cloud of dust had a silver lining, though. Those knickers were through for a while. Dirt and blood were everywhere, and I didn't expect a lot of comment if I had to wear them again either. I guess in those days, a little rowdiness was just expected from boys. Sister exacted the required lines and put us both through a miniature inquisition. Nothing further was said or done. Mike turned just before he mounted his bus that afternoon and flashed a grin that crumbled into a grimace as he briefly covered his swollen lips with his hands. When the hand came down, he mouthed an inaudible sissy britches, then repeated the grin-grimace sequence as he swung about to dash up the bus steps. I reached into the stairwell in time to snag a foot in midair and drag Mike bouncing back down the steps into the street. It was just too much as I saw him sitting at my feet, making ludicrous faces as he tried to hold back the laughter. I stretched a hand out to him and said, "You can borrow them any time, okay?" I thought I was due for a treat after the day's ordeal, so I detoured toward a little railroad car diner on 7th Street. I checked my pockets. I still had a quarter for a bowl of chili and a Grey Fett, my favorite afternoon snack, and a nickel left over for a tune from the Nickelodeon, which had the latest gimmick, 2 remote selection boxes mounted on the countertop. I marveled again that I could push a coin in the slot in front of me and make old Bean start moaning from the flashing machine at the far wall. Bobby on the next stool groaned as he knocked a blob of ketchup from the Heinz bottle onto his hot dog. Not again. Why don't you ever play Gene Autry? Why don't you ever spend your own nickel? I shot back. I guess you and Mike aren't friends now, huh? He asked. I wouldn't say that, but he knows to keep his hands off me now. My mother was less forgiving than Sister Magdalene. I found I'd made my last detour that week, for my allowance was unceremoniously canceled. Dad was a little more understanding when he got home the next evening. Well, that's the end of the knickers for a while, isn't it? They're off to the cleaners. By the way, what color Hudson are we getting anyway? I couldn't believe it. I didn't have any idea what a Hudson was, but I figured it had to be something special to lure Dad away from Dodges, and he did ask me for an opinion. I didn't hesitate. "Red," I cried. Dad laughed. "Who ever heard of a red car?" he directed toward Mom. "It doesn't matter, I won't be seen in one," she chuckled. It was thus that my family acquired the capacity to turn into the fast lane, now the mainstream of American middle-class post-war life. Another symptom of spreading affluence was dependable transportation, making possible for more and more of us the casual luxury of the Sunday drive. And just outside town, Joplin was itself joined to the rest of the nation by a fairly well-developed cross-country highway, Route 66. Gone was the decrepit and colorless old Dodge. Even my mother made no effort to hide her satisfaction as we glided down South Main Street in such a splendidly distinctive machine. even though the apple red exterior was far too conspicuous for her taste. But it was a new car, brand new. It was shiny and clean all over. Like my red wagon, I mused aloud from my old backseat position. Dad heard me. Yes, I've got a new red wagon now, too, he chuckled. It even smelled new. Remember the smell of the new car, enamel mingled with pungent rubber aroma? Real rubber, not the silvery synthetic stuff of wartime that hardened and disintegrated as roadside tire changing became an expected part of any trip. This new luxury introduced me to many joys. Our regular turf began to include Shoal Creek, a small boys' fishing paradise, provender for scenic delights and recreation spots. We discovered the small stair-step rock ledges, historically known as Grand Falls, which in low water could be precariously crossed on foot at their head. Once I persuaded my mother to join me in such an expedition. The smug look of the conqueror disintegrated from her face when I shouted above the roar, "Now we have to go back." And she realized that was the only way to return. Gradually, I discovered the rationale for Dad's choice. It was his fascination with novelty again. The Hudson claimed, or at least advertised, an aggregation of advances in automotive engineering. "Watch your step, you're not climbing into one of those outmoded horseless carriages, you know," he warned my mother repeatedly to her annoyance. "I can see that, Fred. What if this floorboard gets flooded anyway? You'll never get rid of the water." The point was that this was one of the first vehicles with a body slung low between the wheels to effect a low center of gravity and improve stability on the road. Or as Dad put it, this baby'll corner. This was invariably followed by Mom's rejoinder, "So what? We're not on a racetrack, Fred." The way we were, though. My life was racing ahead. Our world was racing on through a rapid-fire succession of discoveries and changes. The atmosphere was everywhere, well, except in school, maybe, charged with optimism and hope for the future. And what was there we couldn't do? America was invincible, the great collective conquering hero. It was a good time to be alive and young.
That's really good. That's really good.
I like
My
it.
gosh, I'd forgotten about you living in Joplin. I knew you did. We never got to go. And I didn't know you had a new red Hudson. What was Frank? What did Frank do in Joplin?
Well, at that time, well, he transferred with Burroughs from Kansas City to Joplin.
If he'd have stayed with Burroughs
Oh, yeah.
and not piddle-pooed around, always wanting to hit he was gonna, I forgot about that basting thing. And then there was, that was gonna make him rich. Then there was something else.
Oh, me, there's so many things.
Oh, he was always, and when I remember when he left Burroughs, Mama was just heart sick. She said that's established, and he's been promoted, and he was always going to get rich. He inherited that from my father. They were always going to get it without getting too worked out doing it.
Working for somebody else.
Uh-huh.
That wouldn't work. So he.
Well, he did
rounded
real
up-
well in the store, in this business in when he had the furniture store.
In Joplin.
He did well, didn't he?
Sure did.
What happened?
He started. Then, when he was with Burroughs, and then
Yeah.
he got several lines of furniture. And
Yes.
he traveled, and he
Yes.
apparently made a lot of money doing that.
Yes.
Because he made enough money to start the store.
Yes.
And he did well in the furniture store.
How in the
Yeah.
world why didn't he just stay put with that?
He didn't, it was the same thing as working for a company. He didn't like having partners.
I know it.
So he offered to
Buy him out.
Art Krieger bought him out
And there he was.
for $12,000 cash.
And he felt rich.
Took the money in his hand and went to Fayetteville.
What did he do?
Started
at
another
Fayetteville?
furniture store.
Bought another furniture store.
Mm-hmm.
Bought another furniture store.
Started another one.
He was smart.
No art.
No
No
art
art,
furniture.
right?
He was brilliant, but he didn't have good common sense about managing. Or at least that's what.
Yeah.
But I remember about this basting thing. He was just going to get richer than a skunk on that. And
Nothing happened to that. And
we
then
worried
this-
about him.
This crazy kite.
And you
a
know,
great big
well, there's one
cardboard
thing about it. He got, see, that was when he's about to lose the furniture store, and he did get Aunt Anna for $8,000.
Wow.
I've always thought, you know, I think it kind of cut us all a little short then, but I'm always glad he got that 8,000. I really was.
Well, it didn't do him any good. He lost the store.
I know
and
he
his house
lost
and
it.
everything.
Yeah, and then she kind of took it out on the rest of us, you know, because we were the same flock, and Pop had kind of taken her, and so we all kind of got in the same category.
That's
And that, but Joe Fisher and Annabelle came along and really, and then just look what happened about them. I don't know, but Frank just simply, he dreamed dreams. Bless his soul. But now he was doing pretty well in Little Rock, wasn't he, in the Montgomery Ward store,
Oh yeah, he was.
making a living.
Yeah. He had the carpet business there.
Yeah.
He did well with the department. Naturally,
Yeah.
he would, with
He
his
was.
brains. and-
He had brains, and he was a nice looking person, and
But it wasn't his,
bless his heart, he
His
just didn't,
thing,
he
you know?
didn't get into his thing, did he?
he had to feel like he had just had to give up
Uh-huh.
and do this thing, take
Yes,
this
sir.
job for security,
Yeah,
and had to give up his dreams.
yeah, I think he's stressed is what killed him,
I
really.
think so too.
I really think stress. Because he was good-hearted and
He was to everybody.
lovable, he was lovable